The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Gan Leppenheimer. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. She has more people to kill and glasses to steal. She's going for the achievement. She's trying to get that achievement before Endwalker 2 comes out. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again, and then it will be a jar and not a door, and we won't be able to go through it. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? My university badge! It's shaped like a bull. I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn, but as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable link, or connection, between the victim's burn and this trial. Where's people? I can't switch to people? I can't switch to people. Hey, what's this? My personal student number is engraved on the back here. Oh, really? If you lose this pin, they won't accept you as a Yume student at the university. You may not come in, they say. Of course, you can get a new pin made if you can just tell them your number. I've actually lost mine twice already, but I still don't know my student number by heart. I always say to myself, I mustn't forget to write it down somewhere, but then I forget not to forget that. Zeros, I guess that's a 1, so move. I mean, the 1 is... No. The 1 is... Which way does a 1 go? Like that. So it's 000901. Not that any of that matters, because this is not a bowl. Ah, Imperial. Ah, the symbol of Yume University. Every student wears this pin with pride. It's funny, but most emblems seem to be either round or rectangular or bowl-shaped. I like this spike design, even though it doesn't really make any sense. Although it does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their fingers on their badges. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders, a sharp pin for a sharp mind, or something. Oh, it's right there. I see. They got a little bowl on the plate.
Yes!
Yes! What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. It works way better than the magical pictures that we used in Professor Layton. Do hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Yes!
Yes! The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Ah! Your Excellency, are you all right? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. The emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant, although not necessarily today. He could have been there yesterday.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
This updated coroner's report. No. Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This is no mild burn, that's for sure. Maybe that's his kink. He has cow branding equipment at home, and he branded himself the night before, in a fit of passion. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. Are you... Well, I guess he is a forensic whatever, I don't know. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. Also, I'm there from the moment it opens until the moment it closes, despite the fact that, you know, it's not my real job. Every single day of the week, from open to close, I am there, listening for screams. But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
Yes! There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet, Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? What are we suggesting? Was he, like, silently killed at the table, and then he, like, okay, say she was there, she poisoned him, oh, blarg, I fell onto the table and my arm got burned, and then I propped him back up, and then I took out my gun, and I put a decoy gun on the floor, and as soon as he picked up that gun, I shot him, and then I put the gun in my swan, and then I ran. I guess that's what we're going with. Less ridiculous than dropping a bust on someone's head with a monkey. Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. And the rest of us in the restaurant, myself and the sergeant and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. He got the tooth removed from his hand! And he had the anesthetic was still, I see. It was one of those, what do you call them? Tooth hands. Hand tooth. Teha in Japanese. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think? Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation that I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. The dentist killed him. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! No, this is Thancred. Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Ugh. Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible! I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency... The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? I mean, Nihongo Jozu. Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all. Oh no, wait, she's British. We gotta break out the Nagito. Female Nagito, here we go. No, I'm not gonna do a British accent. Plus, there's gonna be a million British people in this, right? Every single villain is going to be British. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen Jing. My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tone. Man. She freaking watches subbed anime? I mean, dubbed. No! Ah, ruined it. Ruined the joke. She watches dubbed anime. She's definitely... I mean, she should go to jail whether she shot him or not. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen, so I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your level. Oh, well. You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We're truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words. About the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. I mean, in a sense, it's no less her own words if someone else translate. Like, if she's translating her own... If she's translating it herself, it's not like, you know, she could make a mistake in translation just as much as the other guy could. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do poison me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice here about what has happened today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Thanks. Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Whoa! Sorry, I just had to unleash my final form. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. Let's start by just pressing the last sentence right away.
Yes!
Yes, inferior. What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination, but in this country you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. The Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. What is this? Do I get a tutorial on this? It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. A killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Professor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. Very much doubt that. Still, something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. Did I miss the tutorial by going straight to this one? If we go back, are we going to get the tutorial on how to look at thought bubbles? What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected. She's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma, will you teach me the ways of thought bubble clicking? What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed, something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. Oh, interesting. I wonder if we're getting this dialogue because I pressed on the fifth statement and we got that little thing. That's an interest. They've never done that before in Phoenix, right? Before, it would be like, as soon as this happens, you would get a response. But for them to go, no, you'll only get this dialogue in the after section, I guess. Because there's a little, after you press on things, there's a little dialogue that happens after you pass the last statement. They go, oh, I don't know what to do. And they're like, try thinking outside the box, Phoenix. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react in orange text. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again.
Yes!
Yes! Very interesting. Wait! Can I, like... Yes, there it is again! The detective's reaction is just the same as before, even though he should have known it was coming this time. Like... we did just have exactly the same conversation again. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Ms. Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity, an Obon, Jikan. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. This is what you call composure! You're right, look at him, he's lost in his own thoughts. He's got dots for days. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? Is the BGM going to change to pursuit? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Ms. Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. Shoo, shoo. But by moving the marker left and right with A and D, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with space. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright, so first I should move the marker with A and D, then focus on the detective, then pursue him with space, see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Wait.
I can't. Oh, there we go. Now I can.
Excuse me.
Excuse me! What's the meaning of this? Why is it excuse me? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. It looked like you were thinking about something just now, Inspector. Like a guilty man. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the court. What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not, he lied. It's like you just question anybody who's up on the stand. It's not like we swear them in or anything. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Ms. Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain, which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. Crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that... This is the bottle of gun that I took to the victim's table at the day in question. There's a gun inside. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. Someday we will invent DNA scanning. And then we'll be able to test the DNA on the bottle and see that somebody was drinking straight out of the bottle. Very irresponsible, unhygienic. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Go to France. You can just say you don't know. What else is going to be here? The water itself? So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's poison. She poisoned it. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. An interesting rikishi. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Alright, so we'll press on some things that don't matter. Yes! But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now... Wait, A, look around... Oh, that's... A and D, I see. The fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open.
Excuse me.
Were you looking at my fly? No. I'm talking about that last statement. What I mean is, does nothing strike you as unusual? He's got a nosebleed. He was looking at my fly. This is hopeless. No matter how hard I try, I just can't get past that cough. I don't think you need to push it, Ryunosuke. Give him some time. That's alright. I'll leave it for now.
Yes!
Blah! You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? What? Ugh! Poof. Zipper damage. Ha ha, what fun! You hadn't realized? The dear lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can. Yes! Well, I can't. And plus, when we are in pain in Japan, we say itai instead of ow. Isn't that cool? Anyway.
Yes!
Raised our glasses in a toast. Yes! As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, not wine. This is a game for all ages. Isn't that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink, correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although... Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of the others in the court, it means bless you. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. And is that true? Post-mortem report? Yeah, it just straight up says loss of blood from a gunshot.
Yes!
Yes! Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. She's playing the gender-bent Captain Falcon from Rule 34. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled, even Really now? If it had cooled even slow, the waiter must have been at the table when he was burned. Seconds later, we don't even know how long that plate was in the oven. Do you put plates in the oven? I don't know. We need to get a chef to take the stand. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point. This bit is silly. They're like, he couldn't have brought the plate out and then 30 seconds later burnt his hand. Because plates cool on a logarithmic and a reverse logarithmic scale. Inverse logarithms. As soon as the farther the waiter walks from the table, that's proportionally how much it cools down. And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right. Arg.
Yes!
Is this such a big leap in logic that I'm supposed to just present the water bottle here? Like, do show me another way that someone could be killed. I'm like, he could have been poisoned by this water bottle without leaving a trace. If someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height or carried along a ropeway or however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And, as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've always said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There will be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, like carbonated water, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Taketsuchi Ouchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions. Way of killing someone, though. leaves no trace. A way of killing someone that becomes flat. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. Alright, so I guess without anything else, we're just going to present the water and say this could be poisoned. Who knows?
Yes!
If you're really innocent, drink this bottle of water that I just found on the ground. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Beat him to death with a swan hat. Poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order! 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 And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip poison into his drink? Also, the waiter could have done it. Also, the bottle manufacturer in France could have done it. There's only a billion people who possibly could have done it. Giselle Brett, it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile, have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? It's not as delicate as the situation France is about to be in, sending us poisoned water. Have you forgotten that we've only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty? It can't be the French, because in French, poisson actually means fish. They would have mixed it up and filled the bottle with fish sauce. This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may, I will silence you forever for this discretion. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. Swan's eyes turned red. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And? What did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. All of the toxins in current year. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. It's in his cup. It's in his cup that she put in the purse so that she could take it away from the scene. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No. No! Oof, oof. Missed the juggle again. He's toying with me. He could one-hit KO me at any time. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Ever! You dead. I'm sorry. I'll try to be 2 hours late next time. Thank you, Counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. Court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no. I'm just glad the matter is solved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this time? Kazuma? Dots. See, he's sweating less because he's got the wind blowing on him. I'm sorry, Yonosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Oh, is it gonna be the assistant lady? It is. We don't know her name. Please, wait. Matte kudasai. Isn't that? What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba. Oh, that's the... Oh, the... No, wait. Okay, yeah, same last name as the guy. The other guy, the old guy. Judicial assistant to the defense. No, you're not. In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning, killing me instantly. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. Furishiki? I don't know what that is. We'll keep going, though. Beep, 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 beep.